Recently, I came across a post on Reddit. So if you don't know what Reddit is, which is highly surprising, I'm just going to sum it up very rapidly. It's an internet website with communities about literally anything. The post I was looking at was asking, what's up with people getting triggered by anything at all these days and why? We're going to have to define a few things first. Getting triggered, it's commonly admitted that it means having a negative emotional response to a certain word, phrasing, or situation. On the internet or gaming specifically, it means getting angry and full of hate. In the context of trauma and mental health, it has a little bit of a different meaning. Trauma is the overwhelming amount of stress that exceeds one's ability to cope. Trauma may result from a single distressing experience or recurring events of being overwhelmed that can be precipitated in weeks, years, or even decades as the person struggles to cope with the immediate circumstances, eventually leading to serious long-term negative consequences. This is the Wikipedia definition. I have no shame. I'm just going to give you a quick example of what is a trigger in terms of mental health. A friend of mine was looking at a documentary on Stéphane Bourgoin, which is a French writer that pretended to be a serial killer expert for years, but was actually lying. In the documentary, there was the name of a serial killer that was mentioned, and she didn't know that name, so she looked it up. And in the biography on its Wikipedia article, there was a part where it was stated that he automutilated a lot, and there was a link to the related article on Wikipedia. And as she scrolled in, she hovered above the link, and in the overview, there was a picture of scarification. This sent her into an anxiety attack, and we had to talk her down. Let's take the question back. What's up with people getting triggered by anything at all these days? The main response was, this is internet, what are you expecting? One of the comments was, our society is proud to be offended instead of moving on with shit. Usually people that get triggered on the internet are not people that get triggered in real life, because on internet they have the time to stop and ask for the recognition, attention, etc. that they don't get in real life, because in real life they have to move on from this. Another comment was basically, you can control what you say, but you can't control how people react. For example, if you buy a soap for your friend because you think it smells nice and it's their favorite color or something, and they just get really hurt because they think that you think they're dirty. It's not what you meant, but there is a difference between what you meant, how you said it, what they understood, and how they reacted. Another example I could take is a personal one. I play a lot of video games, especially one with an infamous toxic community, and people would just get insulted every game and flamed, and my fiance would laugh it off. And I couldn't understand it. I was like, they're insulting you, why are you not hurt? Why are you reacting like this? And it told me, first of all, they have no idea what they're talking about. Second of all, I don't know them, they don't know me. They're just bullshitting because they can, because it's anonymous and because they need to take it out on someone, and it's not personal to me. They don't care about it, so why would I care about it? Another aspect that we have to talk about is context, because it's really important, especially with intimate comments and stand-up comedies. Maybe that guy making a joke about blind people has a blind best friend, you don't know. Personally, I don't hate people for making jokes related to my traumas, because I know they don't mean to invalidate me and what I feel. They don't mean to be hurtful or hurt me personally. However, there is a difference between these people and toxic people that will invalidate you personally because they want to hurt you personally. You have to get away from these people because they're toxic, they're gonna hurt you. I am not talking about these people here, I'm talking about people bullshitting in games because they have nothing else to do. I'm talking about internet comments that just, people are stupid, you know, and I'm talking about stand-up comedians that make jokes about stuff that you are sensitive about. We do need to make an episode about jokes. They don't have the time or energy to consider every possible trigger, because it's also up to you to know how to handle yourself. You know that if you get triggered by some content, you can pause the video, get a hot chocolate, do something else, and come back if you think that the video is really interesting and worth watching. But if it's too triggering, you can ask someone else to watch it for you. I think the important thing to take from this is that you can't stay sheltered forever, and you can't ask for this. It's life, shit happens. If you can't deal with shit, you can't leave. Recently, on one of the internet communities I'm moderating, someone asked me to add a mandatory trigger warning for questions. I don't think I need to commentate. I politely asked them what they meant, they didn't answer, I moved on. Let's talk a little bit about trigger warnings versus content warning, because I came across a very interesting article that was denouncing the problem with trigger warnings. They said that the words trigger warnings, and I am not even talking about the violent imagery, are placing the blame on you for reacting badly, whereas content warning admits the content might be difficult for some people. I thought it was a really interesting take on getting triggered and confronting yourself with trauma. To take my earlier story about my friend, after we talked her down from her anxiety attack, we told her the following quote: "The capacity for adaptation of the subject is overwhelmed or overloaded." She asked, "What is it?" And we told her PTSD. That is the definition of PTSD, and she said that just means I basically got overwhelmed because my brain didn't expect to deal with it, while I knew what I was doing when I was looking for the documentary. And that resulted in this shitty feeling of fear. I don't even know what I'm feeling right now, to be honest. And we told her yes. And maybe it's not PTSD what she has, but I think it's really good wording to explain to some people the need for content warnings. Because in my case, for example, I can't go watching movies if I haven't been spoiled before, because some unexpected stuff just throws me into a panic attack and the movie is just ruined for me. And for some people like us, we need to know what we're gonna have to deal with. We need to know what we're getting into before. She asked, "Do you think I can be prepared to everything all the time in order to avoid this in the future? Or is that way too much expectations that humans can reach?" And a friend of mine remarked, "Jokes are based on unexpected things. If you could be prepared for everything all the time, jokes wouldn't make you laugh because nothing would be unexpected about it." And she added that if what causes the problem is the unexpectedness of the situation, I don't know if that's a word, then the only way to avoid it would be to expect everything all the time, and that would make you think about your trauma all the time, and that doesn't sound very healthy. And a friend of mine piped in and said, it's okay not to be okay. So I told her, "It feels to me like you're trying to prevent the symptoms instead of treating the cause, like how another friend of mine doesn't want to hear jokes about rape. I'm not saying that she should. I totally understand why she's upset by it. I just meant that she's upset by jokes about rape, not jokes about rape. Get what I mean? I feel like instead of trying to prevent a panic attack, you should focus on your issue with the cause and accept that you'll have panic attacks until you don't anymore, because it's okay to have bad reactions about stuff. It's healthy in a way. It shows that there is something underneath that needs to be worked on." So yeah, everyone, that was my take on triggers and traumas. My conclusion is that please use content warnings instead of trigger warnings, and understand that people may be sensitive about things that you hadn't realized, and if you tend to react badly to jokes or discussion about stuff that you are sensitive about, some people make jokes about stuff and I get angry at them, and people get angry at me for getting angry, and I know I'm taking it too far. I just don't want to be hurt, and that's understandable, but sometimes I hurt them in the process, and that's something that we should avoid. My unrelated fact of the day is that the number of bacteria on Earth is widely superior to the number of stars in the universe. I'm putting the numbers on screen if you want to try to read them. So the number of bacteria on Earth is 5 million trillion trillion, or 5 times 10 to the 30th power. And the number of stars in the universe is 1 quadrillion, so it's one with 24 zeros after it, but it's likely a gross underestimation, but the closest we have right now. I'm putting the links for these studies in the description if you want to take a look at it. And finally, the soundtrack for today is La Comptine d'un autre été l'après-midi, composed by Yann Tiersen for the movie Le fabuleux destin d'Amélie Poulain, or just Amélie in English. I hope that you've enjoyed the video and see you soon!